welcome to the Jones Family Farms. My name is Christiana Jones. I'm one of the farmers that lives and works here. Welcome to one of our pumpkin patches. We have 25 acres of pumpkin fields here at our farm because we grow 25 different kinds of pumpkins. To get small pumpkins and big pumpkins of all shapes and sizes, each one starts with a different seed. Today I'm going to read you a really wonderful story about a little boy who learns how pumpkins grow. And there's some beautiful drawings in the book about pumpkins, but since we're out here in a real pumpkin patch, I thought I'll show you some of the parts of the pumpkin plant before we even begin. Now, because pumpkins grow on plants, the pumpkins are going to have leaves, and the leaves of a pumpkin plant are so big and wonderful. Look, it's even bigger than my hand, collecting all that sun to make the pumpkin grow big. Pumpkins, as the story talks about, grows on vines. Vines are long, skinny stems that grow along the ground, and that's what the pumpkins are going to grow on. The story also talks about the flowers of the pumpkin, yellow flowers, and the story talks about if it's morning time, the flowers are open, and in the afternoon, the flowers are closed. So here are two flowers right here. So they're closed. So do you think I'm talking to you now in the afternoon or the morning? If you said the afternoon, you're right. The pumpkin plant flowers are closed for the night, and next morning they'll open up, ready for the bees to come visit. Now in this field behind me, there's probably some pumpkins too, but why don't we read the story first, and then we'll see if we can find some pumpkins. The story I'm going to read is called Pumpkin Jack. Pumpkin Jack is written and illustrated by Will Hubbell. When Tim carved his first pumpkin, it was fierce and funny and just perfect. A jack-o'-lantern this good deserved a name, so Tim gave it one, Jack. Long after the best trick-or-treat candy was eaten, Tim still kept Jack. At night, when a candle made Jack's face dance on the wall and filled the dark with warm pumpkin scents, Tim felt Jack was almost magic. Yet, too soon, the spell was broken. "This pumpkin is beginning to rot," announced Mom. "It's time to throw it out." Tim knew it was useless to argue. He carried Jack to the garden, which was filled with the brown ghosts of last summer's plants. A dead garden is better than the trash can, thought Tim. Still, it made him sad to leave Jack alone and outside. Whenever he had chores or play brought Tim to the garden, he looked at Jack. Every time, Jack looked different. He became wrinkled, and his fierce face began to look silly. Mold spread over Jack's bright orange skin. As the days turned colder, Jack grew flatter. Winter began. Soon, Jack was hidden beneath snow, and Tim forgot about him. The cold, heavy-jacketed days came. Snowmen and sliding days, indoor days, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Valentine's. When all these days had passed and the March winds melted the snow away, Tim found Jack. There wasn't much left, just a faded and crumpled pumpkin skin, a stem, and a few seeds. Jack's Halloween magic was a distant memory now. Tim scraped a thin blanket of earth over the last bits of pumpkin. "Goodbye, Jack," he whispered. When spring turned barefoot warm, a tiny sprout appeared where Jack had been. Tim found it and guessed what it was. In the days that followed, Tim weeded and watered and watched the sprout. Slowly and steadily, the plant changed and grew. It branched and spread a web of vines over the ground, but no pumpkins appeared. the days turned hot, the flowers opened on the plant each morning, and then those yellow stars twisted shut forever in the afternoon. Still, there was no pumpkins. Finally, Tim found a little green ball growing behind a crumpled blossom. A pumpkin! Tim let out a whoop and ran to show his mom. By August, the plant had spilled into the lawn. Tim's favorite game became pumpkin hunting. He carefully waded among the leaves, searching for green pumpkins like hidden treasures. School began again, and the days cooled. Tim had less time to visit the garden, and when he did, the pumpkin plant seemed tired. There were few new leaves, and the old tattered ones no longer hid big fat green pumpkins. Then one October morning, Tim woke to see frost coating the garden. The frozen plant seemed changed to pale blue glass. After school, Tim discovered what the frost had done. The pumpkin plants were limp as wet paper. It was dying. Tim searched among the withered leaves for unripe pumpkins, and he picked them up and put them on the front porch, hoping for one more change. By Halloween, the pumpkins had ripened to bright orange. There were many, for the plant had been generous. Tim was generous too. He gave away all but one. From jack-o'-lantern to seed to pumpkin again, the circle was almost complete. Now it was time for Tim to do his part. He gave his pumpkin a face. It smiled at him in a fierce and funny way. Tim smiled too, and he said, "Welcome back, Jack." That's the end. So that's how Tim met a little pumpkin that he named Jack, and Jack gave him a seed, and another pumpkin grew again. And that's one of the wonderful things about pumpkins and real pumpkins. Not only do they grow and change, and we get to enjoy them, but when they are done, if you go find a place out in your garden, they can decompose, they can rot. And sometimes when we think of rotting things, we think of things that are moldy and yucky, but it's really wonderful because what it does is it adds back to the soil again. And in this case, gave a new seed for a new plant. So as the story talked about, sometimes it's hard to find those pumpkins. When the leaves are this big like they are behind me, they're growing and they're protecting the baby green pumpkins because they're not ready yet. Only when it gets older do the leaves begin to fall down, and that's when you see the orange pumpkins. So for instance, behind me here, I have one pumpkin here. See that? That's a little pumpkin, right? Is that ready to get picked? No, it's not big and it's not orange. It has more to go. We're looking at a pumpkin patch right now out in August. So these plants have been growing maybe about 70 or 80 days. So this needs more time. They're going to get bigger and greener. Let's see. This one I can show you. Look at this one. See there? Can you see it? It's hard to see, right? It's blending in. That's called camouflage when all the greens match. But if I pick it up a little bit more, you can see there's the pumpkin shape. And eventually they're going to turn orange. Okay? Look at this beauty out here. This is great because it's showing it's green and turning orange. So, hopefully in the next few weeks, by the time you're able to visit either our farm or another farm, this will be orange and ready for you to take home. So if you go visit a farm that grows pumpkins, go out to the pumpkin patch. The leaves won't be this big, but you'll see on the ground brown vines from where the pumpkin grew, okay? And I hope you enjoy opening it up, carving it, and then putting it somewhere in your yard and to see what happens again. Well, thanks for coming out. Thanks for farming with us. Bye-bye.
From all the farmers here at Jones Family Farms, thank you for listening to Storytime. We hope to see you visiting our farms and participating in bringing in the harvest. Our website is the best resource to answer questions regarding any of the seasons on our farm.